Hello, Kelly here with Kelly Soroka Life, and welcome. It is September, and I am moving into some items that I am going to tell you about. One item that I was working with for this last month and for this last moon cycle, and tell you about some of the things that I'm going to be doing for the month of September. So, at the beginning of the year, just to kind of give you a refresh, at the beginning of this year, I started working with a deck, a book, an herb, and a crystal for every moon cycle. And this last month or so in August, end of July and August, I kind of felt this shift that I needed to shift from working within the bounds of the moon cycle and work more with monthly items. And so I went through the rest of August and used some of the things that I had for August and for that moon cycle. And so then when we moved into the Virgo moon cycle, just kind of shifted and put everything into September. And it was really because, and you can go back and watch the video and the last video, and I've explained it a little bit more, but it was because I really wanted to use this practice to go deeper with the things that I have in my collection, the things that I do with my practices. And I felt like a lot of the ways that I was doing this practice was not really going deeper. I was just kind of using it and using the deck or using the crystal, and I really wasn't diving as deep into it as I could. And one of the books that I was reading, it just kind of said that to me and said, you at the beginning of the year there was a lot more. I felt like I was really getting in deep and really connecting with crystals and the herbs, and then all of a sudden the book that I was reading was didn't really go very deep. And right now I'm in a place in my practice where I want to go deeper. I want to find things that help me go deeper, help me go to the next level, go to the next step, go to the next place, go to the next phase. And I felt like some of the ways that I was approaching this practice had kind of shifted for me. And so I ended up just not reading a book for this last month for moon cycle. And I'm just kind of regrouping and going on with the things that I have planned for the rest of the year. And then I will just do it monthly instead of by the moon cycle. Now, I still work with the moon and I still work with the moon a lot. I work with it, every day. The moon is with me, and I want to feel like that it's kind of going into my other practices. And that's part of that shift of going deeper, of using the moon and using it and having it shift into my everyday life so that I'm using it, when I'm doing my planner for the week and when I look at what I have to do for the rest of the week, really looking at where the moon is, what I want to get accomplished that week, and where the moon might be going in my chart, looking at places in my chart where the moon might be transiting that at that moment. And so that's a way that I've been going deeper. And so I've been looking not just at the moon phase and what sign the moon is in, but what it might be transiting in my chart. And so that gives me a little bit deeper practice. And so I noticed over the last few days when the moon was in Sagittarius, I was just really tired and just ready to go to bed at like 8 o'clock, and just really tired during the day and oversleeping in the mornings. And I thought, that's just, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, every so often. And then the next, over the next week or 2 weeks or so, I'll be, on a more normal schedule, or I feel like I want to wake up really early, or I want to stay up really late. So I was looking at that and I was thinking, I wonder why that might be. And I looked at my chart and realized that I have Neptune in Sagittarius. And so while the moon is moving through Sagittarius, it's also transiting my chart it at over Neptune. And so the moon is moving past, into into that area in my chart where Neptune is, and going past it over those days that the moon is in Sagittarius. And Neptune is a planet of dreaming and using your intuition and feeling kind of fuzzy and feeling just kind of like you're in a dream state. And I did have very vivid dreams, but I was just really at the same time very tired. And so that is one of the ways that I feel like that I've been going deeper with a lot of the practices. And I wanted to make that shift so that I could make, I could shift what I was doing and working on with the moon cycles into my everyday life, so that I made all of these things that I was working with and put them in my planner, wrote down days that I wanted to work with this specific herb and wrote down the things that I wanted to do with it, wrote down days that I used the crystal in meditation and how I felt about it. So those are ways that I really wanted to do that. And so by shifting what I'm doing into a monthly plan, then I plan ahead. I use the last couple of days of the month to look ahead, to look at what's coming up astrologically, look at what's coming up for me and what I have to do, and then I can go deeper with that. And so one of the things that I did was I've been working with decks, and I made sure that I kept the deck, out on my desk, out where I could easily get to it. I picked a deck to work with it, an oracle deck to work with it. And so I had some fun things to do with it. I kept the guidebook with the deck so that I could go back and do some of the readings that the author put in the guidebook. And so this is just going deeper with that and going deeper. And I felt like that I made a real connection with this deck. And it's definitely one that I like, that is definitely is my aesthetic. It definitely is something that appeals to me. And it's one that I know I'm going to work with again in the future. But I just wanted to tell you about it. So if you are interested in the deck, I'll have a link to it below. It was a deck that was on Kickstarter, and I funded it on Kickstarter. But you can still get the deck from the author's Etsy site. And so it's still available, it's still out there. And she's actually coming out with an oracle deck that goes along with this. And I'm really excited to get that and see, how they work together. And, because I really do like the deck, and I like the art, and I like the story. So I think working with the oracle deck, whether I work with them both together when I get them, I'm sure I will at first, but then, how will this oracle deck, what are other decks that would be good to work with that oracle deck as well? So let me tell you about this deck. So this is the Unicorn's Journey Tarot, and it is written by Lisa Pez, and the illustrator is a woman named Francesca Hioki. And so they together did the book. Lisa wrote the story, and there definitely is a story here with this deck. It does have some Rider-Waite-Smith kind of influences, and she talks a lot about the Rider-Waite-Smith in the guidebook. And so for example, for the Two of Fire, she will say, this is the Rider-Waite-Smith is the Two of Wands, and this is what you would see in the Rider-Waite-Smith. And so she does make that connection. And some of the art is a little bit reminiscent of the Rider-Waite-Smith, but a lot of it is more based on the story that goes through this deck. So the deck is just a regular size tarot deck. It's got a nice back. It's very nice cardstock. It's not too thick, not too thin. It's flexible, but not too bendy. It's got a nice linen finish. It's not glossy so that it slides. It's really slidey or too glossy. It's just a really nicely made deck, and you can see that it has the art, and then it has the title down at the bottom. And this one, some of the majors she renamed, and but most of them are just like Moon and Temperance, and um, some others are Hanged One, instead of the Hanged Man. So she puts her little spin on that, and she also does the the elements instead of the. She keeps um, king, queen, page, and knight, the court cards, but she also uses the element instead of wands. She has fire and earth for pentacles, air for the swords, and water for the cups. So it is a little bit different that way, but definitely not something that is hard to understand or anything that is like its own system that you have to really to get into. Um, but it does follow a story. It is the story of this unicorn, and you see, on the front, and this is Mystic, the unicorn, and you follow her journey through the tarot and through her, being born and and growing older, and her connection to humans, and then how she finds her own people and finds her own place to live, and her place and animals, and her support group, her circle, and the people that support her in her life. And she goes along, she travels through that journey through the major arcana, and then it the um, goes through the elements, or through each of the suits, the minor arcana, and it tells a little story there how she relates and meets the water creatures, and meets the earth creatures, and meets the earth unicorns, and meets the fire unicorns, and she has specific animals and uh, um, um, uh, beings that she works with in that particular element. And so it's a really great story, and it was really fun to read the guidebook and to read the story, and then to use the deck, and to really see how that you can follow the story along and still use this as a deck. And so you can enjoy the story and you can enjoy the deck. And I think that the author, Lisa, really did a good job about bringing all of those things together. The book is just one of the little white books. It has, some, it has some illustrations in it, but mostly it's just the text. But it does have all of the suits are color coded. So you can see the major arcana has the purple, the water has the blue, the air is yellow, and the earth is green, and the fire is red. So it's very easy for you to look up anything in this guidebook, which I appreciate. There's some spreads that you can do. And she also included two extra cards. So these are one is light and one is shadow. And she talks about how you can use these cards, and suggests maybe using them as a yes or no. So if you wanted a yes for the light, or a no for the shadow, you could have that and say what you wanted for it. Or you might want something that's the yes is something that you want to work with in the shadow, and the light is something that's already been worked with, and so it's not something that you want to work with now. So there's lots of different ways I think that you can use these extra cards, and they're really cute, and just really have very nice illustrations on them. And so that was kind of a bonus in the deck, having those extra cards. Personally, extra cards with a tarot deck, I don't shuffle them in. I just use the 78 cards, but then I will find extra uses for these. And so a lot of times I'll use them on my altar for different things. I'll put them with other oracle decks and I will use them together like that. But you can use them however if you want. So getting back to the deck, uh, it's really one that I had a fun time working with, and I think that it's kind of got this like watercolory, dreamy kind of fantasy look to the deck, and it's very much magical. It's very much looking at the different ways that people can learn and grow, and all through the story of Mystic the Unicorn. And so it's just I really enjoyed it. And I'll just show you a few more of the cards here. And I did, I definitely put it through its paces. I used it for all kinds of things for this month, all kinds of readings, and it was always just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful reader. This one I had to laugh because I used to have horses, and at first in the story, Mystic believes that she's a horse, and so so she went and rolled in the mud, which is I that was me many times standing with a hose with a very dirty horse who had just rolled in the mud. So I thought that was a cute little picture. But it's again, it's a really great story. It's very fantasy, but down to earth as well. And I enjoyed reading with it. So for this video, I wanted to show you a reading with this tarot deck and just to see what I pulled for this for you today. So we're going into September or we are in September and very early days of September. And I feel like that, at least for me, a lot of this year has been really hard, especially August. I felt like August was a really hard month for me, for other people, for the world, for just in many different ways. And I felt like that it was just a lot of just almost just like this heart-wrenching, just like just these like you know days that were just full of joy, but days that were just really really hard and really really hard to get through. And so that in this when they pulled these three cards for this reading for September, I was asking, what, what advice do you have? What advice do you have for going into the rest this month specifically after, looking at things that have been happening before? And so it really mirrored what I was feeling and what I was thinking. And so the first card that I pulled is the Two of Earth. And the Two of Earth or the Two of Pentacles is balance, is trying to find that balance, trying to find a way to stay on balance. And you see the little unicorn in the background going into the mines and getting the work done. And but also, having to and not making this life, finding a balance with this, doing what's necessary to to make yourself and to have yourself to make a good living, but also to have some fun and finding that balance between work and play and work and whatever hobbies, and finding the balance between grief and happiness, and the light and the shadow. And we are moving into that shadow period in the northern hemisphere. So looking at that and looking at that balance, and we're coming up on to the autumn equinox where we're going to have that day of equal night and day. And so finding that and just kind of finding that balance and looking at things and knowing that what's going to be coming, and I think these go together very well, is this three of water, which is all about celebration and emotions and being happy. And then the nine of air, which is about anxiety and the thoughts circling around. And so, really trying to find the balance between these two things. And it may be you are finding this and trying to find out when, how you can make that balance and how you can make that into a really good place to be. So going into September, looking at those and trying to find that balance, looking towards what's coming in the autumn equinox, where we're going to have that time of balance and that time of pause, looking at that and really looking at how you are going to find that balance between the happiness and the anxiety, how you're going to look at the joy and the grief, how you're going to find that balance. And sometimes it's going to tip to one side, and sometimes it's going to tip to the other side. But don't let yourself be afraid of feeling the feelings, whatever those feelings are. Let yourself feel those feelings. Let yourself be in that moment. And if you're sad about something, let yourself be sad. If you're happy, let yourself be happy. Celebrate and say, just this is a great day. I'm having a great time. And, there's things that I know that, might be worrying me, but right now I'm going to celebrate and I'm going to have a good time. And so, looking at all of those things and looking at how you feel going into the dark months, is it a time that you can really rest and rejuvenate? Is it a time where it's really hard because of the holidays and because of the darkness and because of the cold? Or is it a time that you feel like, oh, this is my time? This is when I feel the best. And so look at those things and look at how you can find that balance and find that place in between in September and have a day or so of pause, have a day or so that you let yourself rest, that you let yourself have a time of pause, have a time of where you're in between the two things and you're just like, I need a time, I need some rest, I need a pause. And it's okay. And even if you feel like that you have a million things to do, still take that pause. It's so good to rest, even if it's a short rest, or even if you need a whole weekend off, or whatever that you feel like that you need. And look at what things bring you joy during this time. I know that I just love in the winter having a blanket and a cup of tea and a good book and just sitting and reading for a couple of hours on the weekends, especially because I can't really get outside as much as I'm used to, and I don't enjoy winter as much as I do the other seasons. And so I'm already looking at those things, and I'm going to take this time of the autumn equinox and look at that and say, how can I balance? I know I'm going to be feeling some of these things about anxiety and being in and being inside, and the cold weather. But what can I do? I can look forward to. I can have blankets, and a blanket somewhere, and I know that when I'm feeling anxious or just closed in, that I can just escape in a book and a cup of tea, and it's going to make me feel better. So look at those things, look at those things for the month of September. And I am moving into some new things, and I'll have those down below. I'm going to be working with the herb tobacco. I'm going to be working with the crystal of hematite. I'm going to be I am reading the book, The Goddess and the Shaman, and I am working with the deck, the Boudica's Tarot. and they all look really interesting. And I think I'm going to have some very interesting experiences in September. And so I'll be reporting on those for you as well. So if let me know if this deck, something that you would work with or you buy, or that, you have other decks that are kind of in the same realm that you work with that you enjoy too. I'd love to hear about those. And as always, all the stuff that I've done, all the resources are in the Cauldron. So it's a place that you can go that has all these resources in it. So for this, like for the Unicorns Journey Tarot, I did my deck review so that I know what I thought about the decks if I ever want to go back to it and know what I thought, know how I felt about it, things that I did with the deck. It's all on this page, and I'm just going to file it away. And so I have that there for you with some other things, all the PDFs and information about all the things that I've studied so far this year, all in there, and some other goodies that you can also go and print out and use for yourself. So I am going to, right after this, I'm going to be doing the first Lenormand lesson. And so I'm going to be doing a whole series of lessons from Lenormand, going back and kind of refreshing myself with Lenormand cards, and something that is I really enjoy practicing, but I've kind of not been using as much lately. So I want to go back and do that for the next couple of months, and really go back and have some quality time with some my Lenormand cards. And I'll have the information again with the resources I'm going to be using, and a PDF for you that you can use and see what I'll be doing for the lessons. And so that I hope will be up in the next couple of days, and you can start doing some lessons with Lenormand with me as well as all the things that I'm going to have in September. So I hope you that have a great day, and that you will come back and join me for the rest of this month. Bye.